Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm sitting here just in front of my house, of my building, where my apartment is. This is my street, my beautiful street. I decided to record the video here outside because I like to feel the sun in my back. It's finally spring. So I promised you to make question and answer video in Instagram. I got some questions and here we go. Let's start. So the first question: what's your story as a student of music? I started to learn music in Ukraine as I was 6 years old. My both parents are musicians. My mother is piano teacher and my father is pianist and organist. His main instrument is organ, actually. And my whole world was music around me. So I was in touch with music every day. And I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And my parents brought me to a school for very talented children, just to see, to test me. And I passed the test. So I started the school and I finished it as I was 18. It was quite a hard school, actually, very competitive, very intense. But of course, it gave me a lot of skills, to continue my way as a professional musician. So then, as I was 17, I had a master class in Switzerland with a great young piano professor, Adrian Oettinger. He became my piano professor. I was studying with him 6 years then in Basel. Now he's professor in Munich, by the way. I made this master class with him and I really wanted to continue studies with him. So I passed the exam in Basel. Then I returned to Ukraine, made my finished my school, and then I came back to Switzerland. I got a little stipendium, how do you say, support, financial support from a private fund. So that was my start capital, because my parents actually could not pay my studies. That was not possible. And at the end, by the way, as I finished my music academy here in Basel, I paid this money back to this fund because I was able to pay it back. And so then I started my studies in Basel. The first year I was living with a very nice, very kind Swiss family as a guest there, and then I moved to a student apartment after 1 year and then continued my full student life. Worked a lot while studying. I worked every weekend. I played in churches, in any kind of little concerts. I played organ in churches, like Saturday and Sunday, with choirs. I did a lot of accompaniments and many concerts. And then I also won some competitions, which gave me security for these years. Just before I made my diploma, my second master degree, I got the job at the theater. And that was it. Do you ever read the score while away from the piano? To be familiar with the music. Sometimes. I don't do it a lot. I know there is a method to work just mentally, to see the music. Sometimes if I'm in a train or on the plane, if I have to repeat some things, yes, I do it. But maybe with music I'm already familiar with. To learn the music, I really need the piano. But there is one exception. I like to listen to the recordings and looking in the scores at the same time. So this is how I do it. That helps a lot. especially with very complicated operas. Oh, this is my favorite. Why do you play so fast the accompaniments? Yeah. Let me think. Because I'm bored? No. Well, the tempo is the thing which nobody is ever happy, you know. A tempo feeling, first, it's very individual. Second, it can change. Even if you're the same person, it can change day to day. One day you feel this tempo right, and one day you feel the other, like, you know, you feel it a bit slower or faster. Also, a singer actually is mostly, you know, depending on the, you know, feeling on the day, on the humidity in the air, and. So there are, of course, tempi which are common, but also the traditions of the tempi change from time to time. As you know, I'm a accompanist at the opera since 17 years, and believe me, if I play an accompaniment for the channel, 99% I did play this accompaniment with one or two or three singers, or even did a production where this aria or duet was in. So I have the experience most of the times how this piece works at the end on a stage. I experienced that so many times in rehearsals that the conductor likes to go in tempo because because many singers are a bit on the slower side, or they, you know, feel they listen to the voice and then they get slower. This is a very common singer thing, and I'm thinking about the end result. And some of my accompaniments are really fast, like Cenerentola, yeah, some of Rossini thing. And believe me, it's not my fantasy. We really had singers at the theater who were able to sing it like this. Yeah, there are voices like this. It doesn't mean that everybody have to sing it like this. It just means that at this time, I've done it like this. But it's not the final truth, you know. It should not, like, you don't have to think this is how I think it's right and there is no way to go down with the tempo. So YouTube has a nice function. You can turn the tempo down a little bit, and then maybe it's fine for you to practice. If I make an accompaniment on YouTube, it's just for the moment, so I like it like this, but maybe, you know, in 2 years I like it a bit slower, or I make another experience. And I worked with many conductors, especially Italian ones, who really like, you know, the faster flow, let's say. Yeah. Next question. How many languages do you speak? Okay. Russian, Ukrainian, German. My German is very good. English, not very good, but enough to survive. Italian, the same, not very good, but enough to survive. And I learned Spanish. I understand a lot of Spanish, but I don't really speak it. So let's say 5.5 languages. And I know I should learn French. I don't get it. Yeah, bad. Next question. How long does it typically take you to learn a new opera and feel comfortable performing it? It depends very much on which opera, how difficult. If it's easy one, Well, what is easy? You know, that's a philosophical question. Okay, let's say now we're working on Wagner's Ring, the whole cycle. We're on Siegfried right now, and it took me a lot. I start normally, if I have something very complicated to play, I start many months before. I start to look at it, to learn it, to listen to it, play it through once, twice, then I put it back. I let my brain to organize this information, and then I go back to that. I take it again, then I probably have a feeling, oh, I have to start completely new, but then I play it again and again, and then I become familiar with it. If I have the singers to learn with, like to coach the main parts, then it's much more easier, so we learn it together. But for, let's say, for really complicated operas, I plan the preparation 6 months before, 8 months before, and then I do it without stress, peu à peu. Of course, I'm able to play an opera prima vista if it's necessary, but it will be not the same quality. To get really familiar with this, with the music, you have to make a production with it, I think, to play it with singers, not just alone. You know, just learning alone is not enough. You have to work on it. The production, a typical opera production in Europe, is around 5 to 6 weeks. We have normally 6 weeks. So after this time, I really become familiar with the opera. But before, I already practiced and learned it many months. That doesn't mean that I learn it the whole day, every day, but you know, I walk to work, I take my headphones and I listen to a scene, then I listen to it again, then I take the score, look at the scene, or maybe play it through. After a couple of days I repeat it, and so on. So it's a long process. So there was a unexpected question on Instagram: what is my ethnicity? I was wondering why somebody is interested about this. I'm born in Ukraine, so one side, like the mother's half, is mixed Slavic side. We have Ukrainian and Polish and Russian and Belarusian, whatever, mixed. And from my father's side, it's Jewish Ashkenazi. Yeah. Somebody asked me, how do I deal with being nervous on stage? I'm not nervous on stage anymore, mostly not. I feel very comfortable, but it took me a couple of years. I was very nervous before the concerts in my teenager years. I was really like, sweating, and I got cold hands, and I was nervous because there was so much pressure on me, pressure from teacher, from everything, from what the people say. And then I started my studies in Basel. I was still nervous, but my teacher, my professor, worked with me on my security, actually, that I really believe in myself, that I believe that I can do it, and that helped a lot. And also I understood that when I'm concentrated on the music, and I mean deeply concentrated, really just focusing only on the music, on what the composers, like what the composer is telling me, and what should I tell to the people, to my public. As I understood this very deeply, I stopped being nervous. That was a freedom I never experienced before. And at this moment, I really started to enjoy the stage, because I knew that I'm coming to this stage not for the other people judge me, but I'm coming to tell something. And I have to tell something, and I can tell something. And that was it. That was absolutely amazing experience, and I'm still in it. Another question: what's the hardest thing I ever played? If we talk about piano solo, I guess the hardest one was the concert paraphrase Mozart Liszt Don Giovanni. This is huge and this is extremely difficult. I did play it in Japan in a recital. I would never learn such thing by myself, you know. I'm too lazy for that. But we had a tournée with the theater in Japan, and the Japanese asked me to play a recital with this thing, and I just thought I cannot say no, you know. So I learned it in 3 months. I was practicing like crazy, and yeah, I did it. There is even a recording somewhere in YouTube. It's already many years, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. No, even more, 12 years. Yeah, I think that was the hardest. And also in my earlier years, I played the Bartók piano sonata, which is also very hard. It's playable, but I didn't really like it. It's kind of technique. It's very percussive. That was hard for me, but I played it everywhere. Like, I played it so many times, and at the end it was not very hard anymore. If I'm thinking about piano repertoire at the moment, I don't play so many concerts, but if I would be asked, there are certain things I would never say yes to. I would never learn the second piano concerto of Prokofiev. I think this is too hard. The second Bartók, probably the second Brahms. It's always second, huh? Number 2. So these 3, number 2, I wouldn't accept. If we talk about the operas, there were a couple of very hard pieces. I think Die Tote Stadt of Korngold, that's my favorite, but also it's one of the hardest technically. It's extremely hard. Also the Salome is very hard, but very beautiful to play. But takes so much time to learn it and to play it beautifully. Lulu is very hard, but especially for the brain. And I can imagine the Rosenkavalier is probably very hard technically to play it really well, but I never played the whole thing. So I would really like to play it actually. Is there a big difference between Steinway and Yamaha pianos? For me, yes. And I think mostly they have very different voices, you know. I prefer Steinway, always. I played on amazing Yamahas in Japan, couple of them, fantastic instruments. But normally here in Europe, if you have Yamahas, they're like practicing in instruments, like middle class. And for me, the Steinway pianos are much more individual. Every instrument, every Steinway is unique. You have to deal with the character of the piano. And Yamahas, they are nice quality pianos, but not more. Interesting question is, if I wouldn't be pianist, then what would I be? Like, which profession? Before I started to study, I was thinking about being an actor. I was acting in a little theater company in my home city, in Kharkiv. So I was really thinking about going this way, but I'm glad I didn't actually. And later I was thinking also about studying psychology. I can imagine I would be a good psychotherapist. Everything about the human brain interests me a lot, and but also what interests me a lot are questions about health, about right nutrition. I'm very deep into this. So if you're interested, guys, I can make a video about my food schedules and stuff. You know, people ask me a lot, why do I look so young? And it's because of this, because I eat well. For psychology, for the whole study, I didn't have time as a full working woman, but then I've made some coaching certificates in different methods. I used these methods a lot from myself, actually, but I didn't really start to work as a coach. But I use, time to time, I use some, some tricks and questions and methods with my students, and also with my singers who come to coachings with me. So maybe I will develop this theme in my life too, but actually I'm very happy that I'm a musician. So this is my world. I love the music very much. And the last question I will answer today: what's my favorite voice fach to accompany? I don't know. I mean, I like good singers, If I feel well with a person, it's my favorite in the moment. But if you ask me, so maybe baritone. Hi to all baritones out there.